How are we doing? I just want to talk quickly this evening just about you and your workouts. And to help you with that, just allude to a little bit what I've been doing over the last 15, 16 years with my workouts for my clients, and how to adapt them to that individual or to myself, depending on how that individual's day is, and how they are right in that moment. And I think this is the thing. When you get a planned workout from a coach, or when you devise one yourself, whether that's a running program, whether that's a weights program, whatever it is, I think there's the common notion that you have to rigidly stick to that program. You have to do everything in order. You have to do the right amount of reps. You have to do the right amount of sets. You have to stick to the rest periods, etc., etc. And if you're that type of individual that likes doing that and likes that sort of structure and discipline, then that's great. But it actually doesn't have to be like that. And I'm going to allude tonight, or in the next few minutes, as to why that has to be the case, why you have to be flexible, and why you have to have a plan in your head of what you want to achieve from the session, with an individual like me as a coach. I'll have it in my head with every single client. Right, today we're going to focus on a certain exercise, or today we're going to work at this level of intensity. We're going to raise the volume. For this individual, we're going to push them a little bit harder, or we're going to bring in a little bit more abdominal work to this session. But I fully understand that when I see that client, or when they walk through that gym door to see me, that things can drastically change. And this is this is what I'm trying to get across tonight: is you have to prescribe the correct workout for you, depending on how you are right in that moment. Now, I'm sure a lot of people in this group, they train after work. Okay, now what are normally people after work? They're normally a lot more tired than what they are at the start of the day. That is for sure. But a lot can change from you waking up till 6 p.m., 7 p.m. at night. So my biggest advice for you would be is to have something in your head of what you want to achieve. So you might say, right, tonight I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to try and PB my squat. So try and get a personal best in my squat. Or I'm going to go outside tonight and try and get my quickest 5K time that I've got. But you need to also understand that due to circumstance, as the day goes on, things might change. And work might throw a spanner in the works, or something might happen with the family, which means you're rushing around, which it's not the perfect environment for you to achieve that. Or you just might feel a little bit tired, a little bit stressed, and all of these things have an impact on whether you will achieve it or you won't achieve that. So all of a sudden, this planned workout of what you want to do kind of goes out the window, and you need to have the ability to improvise and to think on your feet and to come up with different exercises, or to actually take a step back and say, right, tonight's not the night I'm going to push myself hard. I'm going to kind of just not take it easy, but train within myself. And another night will come where I'm able to push myself, or another day will come where I'm able to go a little bit harder. Now, the biggest advice I can give you with regards to kind of how to factor all this in is kind of work on a 3-tiered system. So this is what I do with my clients. Depending on how the client walks in through the door, I'll be like, right, today they're going to be at tier 1. So tier 1 means, right, I'm going to push them, I'm going to train them, not as hard as I can possibly train them, but I'm going to give them the best training effect I can possibly give them. Okay, because it's like all the stars aligned, everything's set right, they're coming full of energy, they're bouncing, they look like they're going to be able to lift the most they're going to be able to lift, or train the hardest or the highest intensity volume that they've ever trained. So let's go for it. Let's really push the boundaries, or let's push them just that little bit further. Then there's tier 2, where they might have had a bad night's sleep, or they've just said a few things, or I get a gut feeling, or they give me the impression that things might not be, they might not be functioning at full cylinders as they should be. So we kind of go down to a tier 2, whereas I pick 1 or 2 exercises where I'm going to push them hard on, and then we kind of bring the intensity and volume down on all the other exercises that we do for the remainder of the session. So there's still that intent there, there's still that purpose, there's still the objective of achieving something in those 1 or 2 exercises where we go hard on. But also I'm thinking about the longer term picture of this individual. If I push them too hard, they're going to be in a worse position than when they walked in through the door, and I certainly don't want that for my clients. Then there's the tier 3. So tier 3 is usually turn them around and send them back, because the worst thing they could do is a session right now. So they come in ill, or a really bad night's sleep, i.e. no sleep, or they're stressed up to the eyeballs, or they've just got too much going on. Or we kind of I compromise with them and just basically say, right, well, we're not going to go hard tonight. The worst thing we can do is go hard, but we're going to work on kind of lower intensity elements that are going to really benefit you. So, we can have more of a focus on abdominal training, or a bit of mobility work, and yeah, there's less emphasis on pushing them hard on every exercise. It's just saying, right, we're going to do this work, okay, and that's going to be fine for today. That'll be fine. Any more, pushing you any harder, is going to be detrimental for you. And you can bring all of this in to yourself, like work on that 3-tiered system. So tier 1 is like, right, we can go hard, you can push yourself really hard. Tier 2 is like almost middle ground. So, you feel good, but you don't feel great. So it's kind of like more your kind of like medium, like normal feeling throughout the day. And then tier 3 is, yeah, you don't feel great, but you've got to get something done. But you don't have to break the bank in order to get it done. You've got to think of the long-term picture. You know that you've got to be able to keep coming in and doing sessions. So the last thing you want to do is push yourself hard when you're not feeling great, having a detrimental effect of you, short-term and long-term, which isn't good for anyone. So in summary, what I'm trying to say is you have to have the ability on the day to adapt and to improvise and to overcome how you are on that day. So you could have the best like weight training workout in front of you. You could have the best interval training program in front of you, but they might not be the best program for you at that time because of how you are and what you've gone through in that day. And you need to have the ability to recognize how you are, when to push yourself, when to hold back, and how to adapt things in order to suit you on that day. And I say it to clients all the time on calls and things like that. When they look, or I start to get the impression they're getting a little bit demotivated, just pick six exercises you love and enjoy, go and do them. That's it. So I've given them programs, but what I'm telling them to do is, right, from the last 12 weeks that you've been with me, pick 6 exercises that you love doing, bundle them up into a workout, go and do them, and go and enjoy them. Because that is the fundamental thing, guys. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And as well as that, you have to have the ability to look after your body. And part of that is adapting and knowing when to push and knowing when to hold back. And I think sometimes we get into this mindset of push. And all you see over a period of time is that just having a negative impact on everybody's recovery levels, energy levels, and therefore their performance sucks. Okay, you can't always push hard in every workout. And just another example is clients are sometimes miffed when they can't lift their PB every session. So, for example, the deadlift. Someone will come in and do a 140 kilogram deadlift for 8 reps, and then the next week they come in, they can barely lift 110 kg for 6 reps, and they can't get their head around it. And they obviously ask the question why, and it's like, things change. How's your sleep? How's your food? How's your water intake? Stress levels? Because all these recovery strategies matter, and it's quite evident they matter because they're directly impacting performance. Okay, and it's those recovery strategies which will ultimately keep your performance levels up, or as high as they possibly can be. If you don't look after those recovery strategies, sleep, water intake, nutrition, stress, just to name a few, then your performance is always going to be at a below par status. You really need to look after those recovery strategies if you want to keep on top of things. But it's also understanding that we don't live in a perfect world. Things happen on a day-to-day basis. You're not always going to be able to break the bank with your workouts, and it's fundamentally knowing that and knowing when to push and knowing when to pull back. So let us know what you think, guys. Put your experiences below in the comment of how you've found things on some days. You know, a lot of us have got 100-mile-an-hour lifestyles, so we're not always going to feel great when we go into the gym or when we do a run, for example. So put your examples in the comment section, and hopefully that's helped a few people tonight. Cheers.